So our next speaker is one of the top Agile consultants in Europe and Latin America. He's the author of many books about Agile and regular speaker at Agile conferences all over the world. He'll teach you how to convince your boss to be Agile. Please give a big round of applause for Mr. Angel Medinilla.
Okay, hello everyone. I'll try to make this space of time after lunch as enjoyable as possible. In fact, I'm earning myself some fame in the Agile conferences circuit of being an energetic guy that tells jokes and yells a lot. Usually the problem is that they have the volume set for Scandinavian guys, and when the Mediterranean guys come and we start yelling at the microphone, probably the audiovisuals guys in the back of the stage are like, whoa, 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 trying to turn it down. And one thing that happens when you're like the energetic guy that tells jokes in the Agile community is that you always get the worst slots, like after lunch, when everyone is sleepy and thinking about having fiesta. Hey, let's put the Spaniard, this guy that yells at the audience so nobody gets to sleep. Okay, I'll take it, I'm fine, I'm happy with it. Thank you so much for having me here and for having me after lunch. Welcome to this talk, which is called Hacking Management, How to Convince Your Boss to be Agile. You know, it's partially based on a talk I had that was called Hacking Culture for Change Management. And it's a talk where I talked about things like corporate culture, values, mission, and how to drive change on a broader sense, like convincing developers and teams and all that. And when I proposed the talk to the people here at Agile Serbia, they said, oh, you know, the thing is that we already had a talk last year about change management. So if we have another talk that is called change management, then people will say, I've already been at that. So we decided to change the title, and we said, okay, maybe Hacking Culture for Change Management is not a good title, but how to convince your boss to be Agile, that's a good topic. So basically, we are trying to fool you into a talk. And now in retrospective, I'm thinking maybe we should have gone a little bit further. Maybe we should have, I don't know, something more marketing-wise, like 10 ways to convince your boss to be Agile. That would be awesome, right? Because everybody loves lists. If you are in the social media business, you know that 10 ways of doing something, it's an amazing way of making your articles viral. It has to be 10, by the way. 8 ways of 8, well, it has to be 10. 10 is the perfect number. No? We can go even a little bit further and add some kind of, I don't know, clickbait to the title. Hacking Management, 10 ways to convince your boss to be Agile. You will love number 6. And then people will be like super intrigued, and then you can have their attention until number 6 appears, okay? So welcome everyone again. My name is Angel Medinilla, rather unpronounceable for most of the people around the world, Angel. So Angel is okay, Angel, I don't like it that much. I happen to be an Agile consultant and an Agile trainer. I work with a lot of companies around the world. I've tried to show some of that experience in a couple of books. I'm part of the Happy Melly Network. I'm a Management 3.0 trainer. You've already met Jürgen this morning. One difference between some of the speakers and me is that I do some public speaking, I do writing, I do training, but I also spend a lot of time at companies helping them to find better ways to work, helping them to improve, helping them to adopt Agile methods, Agile frameworks, but also beyond Agile, trying to find better ways to perform. And I've been so lucky and I've been so blessed to have the opportunity to work with a lot of different companies around the world, both in Europe and in America. And I've worked with companies in industries like telco, banking, insurance, video game development, security, military, medical, aerospace. And what I try beyond methods and beyond school of thoughts and beyond, the religious sense that we have in the Agile community these days, like you have to do this because it says so, because this is the method. This is Agile, this is not Agile. I see a lot of that in the community in these days. I don't like it that much. And what I try is to share whatever is working for me. And if something is in the book and it works for me, and I will say, it's a good idea. If something is in the book and it's not working for me, I will say, you know what, I tried this, it's not working very good, I try something else. And if I'm trying something that is not in the books, but is working so right, then I don't care if you call it Agile, not Agile. For me, it's something that helps company improve. That's what I do. So that was me, my pleasure. Those were my vanity slides. This is my token kitten. I put a kitten in all my presentations. Why? Because research says that if you put kittens in your presentation, you get 25% better feedback, guaranteed. It doesn't matter that I personally think that cats are vermin that should be extinguished by the surface of the earth. I think that cats are selfish, ugly, stupid, dirty animals. But if you put a kitten in the presentation, it doesn't matter. Everyone is like, oh, look at the kitten. So you have better feedback. So, okay, please remember the kitten when you're giving feedback from the talk. Also, and that's the last information I'm giving about the meta, all the drawings, some people usually are curious about the drawings. I do all the drawings myself with an application that's called NoteShelf in the app, using my own stylus. A lot of people seem to be concerned about the drawings. I think that some people are like, if you paid for that drawings, they rip you off. I'm like, no, I made them myself, don't worry. I know they are kind of crappy. Anyway, so I have now like 40 minutes and I have 33 slides to go. I'm going to be talking about change and about how to convince your boss to be more agile. So let's start from the beginning. Some of you come to these conferences and you're exposed to new ideas like the heart of Agile and like gamification and agility at scale. Jürgen was talking about that. And then you bring your idea to your company on Monday and you're like, you know what? I've heard about this amazing stuff on gamification, on the heart of Agile, let's do it. And you're so convinced because you've been here, you've been exposed to the whole information, and you realize it's a good idea. But when you bring it to your company, bam, somebody destroys it immediately. You bring an idea so brilliant like Scrum or Kanban, and somebody's like, bah. And then you start listening to this usual stuff that we've already heard somewhere in our life, like, no, that will never work here. That will never work here? What kind of argument is that? It's like here in this room, here in this floor of a building, here in this company, here in Serbia? I mean, where's the line? Where's the line that I have to cross saying it's not working, it's not working, it's not, now here it's working. What do you mean it's not, it will never work here? If you try to scratch a little bit the surface of this kind of arguments, you realize that there's no rationale behind the argument. Or for instance, that's not the way we do things around here. I was coaching a company recently and I was like, okay, let's do cross-functional teams. Let's get an architect, 2 or 3 developers, 1 business analyst, 2 testers, and 1 guy for infrastructure. Let's put them together so they own the process from concept to cash. You have a full stack product development team. And they were like, yeah, but that's not the way we do teams around here. And I was like, yeah, that's the reason I'm proposing you doing something different. Are you really willing to pay me to come here and say, keep doing whatever you're doing? You are great, you are fine. There seems to be a market for that. It's called certifications. So, hey, you're doing great, certified. They put a stamp on your forehead, and now you can brag about being agile. Okay, there's an industry for that. And there's other ways that people will try to keep the attention from this attempt of changing things. You brought this idea of being agile, cross-functional, doing Scrum, and then somebody will say, yeah, but that's not the most important thing now. We have to settle the budgets for next year, or something like this. And for me, it's like, I mean, if we have to do something in this company, and you are like, yeah, but we also have to breathe. Breathing is important. Yes, I'm not saying we either do this or do that. You can do several things at the same time. Usually when people try to bring your attention to some other stuff, it's an emotional, irrational way of stopping change, resisting change. That's what I call the squirrel effect. Have you seen this movie by Disney, Up, where there was this dog that usually was distracted, and he was talking to you, and suddenly he was like, squirrel! They try to make you look somewhere else, so you drop this idea of the Scrum or Agile thing that is making them feel uncomfortable. And of course, when you listen to all these nonsense arguments and all this crap, you end up falling into what we call the attribution mistake. And the attribution mistake basically is looking around you in your company and saying, I am surrounded by idiots. And every single time I say this, I see someone in the audience saying, I am surrounded by idiots. And you know, the problem with the attribution mistake, saying I am surrounded by idiots, is that it's so seductive. It explains everything. If I am surrounded by idiots, that's the reason. There's one thing that explains everything. And we are addicted to this kind of explanations, simple explanations. But one of the simple explanations we use when we try to change companies is the managers don't want. The managers won't allow us to be agile. Oh, you know, I would love to be doing Scrum and all this kind of stuff, writing user stories, doing daily retrospective, but the manager is not allowing us. And again, this is your brain playing tricks on you. It's a simple explanation that explains everything and makes you feel comfortable because it's not your fault. It's the manager's fault. But now imagine Gandhi. Okay, you know Gandhi in India. He was responsible for the independence of the India. He did so by creating a non-violent movement and creating a whole cultural change. Imagine at the beginning of all, people coming to Gandhi and saying, "Hey, Gandhi, we have this amazing idea about a non-violent movement so we can become independent from the United Kingdom." And imagine Gandhi saying, no, guys, I understand, it's a great idea, but you know what? The king doesn't want to. And everyone saying, "Oh, of course, we never thought about that." Well, never mind. It doesn't work that way. We all think that if we convince the manager, then everything is set and ready to go. I have bad news. Or good news, in the sense that if you know how change works, you have more chances to be successful. Change, when it comes to improving a company, for me, it has like two games. It's like in football. You have the first part of the game, the second part of the game. And the first part is to convince management. And this is what we are going to be talking in this talk. And then once management is convinced, you're not over. It's basically the start of the second part of the game, which is now everyone is on board, but we still have to actually change something. We change some people's minds, and that's a great beginning, but then we have to do all the other stuff. But here, sometimes we are like, we never even start the transformation because we think, oh, the managers don't want, so there's nothing we can do if we don't have the managers on board. Well, I will try to show you 10 things you can do even if managers are not on board. But the first thing you have to understand is that the problem when you try to convince your organization, when you came on a Monday and brought this brilliant idea and it got killed with irrational arguments, the main problem is in you. You ignore change dynamics. There's a way change works, and you need to be familiar with the way change works in order to change things. Like, for instance, if you want to change a company, you have to understand, or if you want to convince anyone about something, you have to understand that facts are not enough. Nobody is convinced by facts. We like to think that we are rational human beings, and if you present the structures, the numbers, and if you present the studies and the science and the research, people will be convinced. Well, we have been presenting the industry with a lot of scientific research saying bonus systems, reward systems, offering rewards to people in order to get better performance. It doesn't work. It has been disproven by science for the past 40 years. And then you present all this information and my client says, "Okay, I get it. So how do we set our bonus system then?" And I'm like, "Don't! Don't do bonus systems. They don't work. They don't work. They are not going to make your people perform better. They are going to foster, internal competition. People will look for the rewards instead of doing for the right thing to do. They will start to compete against each other." And they were like, yeah, I understand now. So then how do we reward people? I'm like, good. People don't change because they are exposed to science, research, and facts. If you were able to change because you were exposed to facts, everyone in this room will be eating between 5 and 7 pieces of fruit and vegetables a day. And you will be doing 4 to 5 hours of regular exercise every week. Because fact, research, science shows that that's a way of living more years, having more energy, being more motivated, more happy, even having better sex. Are you doing that? No, because you're too busy. What kind of answer is that? People are not convinced by science. People are not convinced by facts and by research. Why? Because we are emotional beasts. We are emotional. We like to think that we are rational, but we are rationalizing beings more than rational beings. We act according to our emotions, and then we try to find the reasoning behind that act. Let me show you a small video. Let we all, raise a prayer to the gods of audiovisuals and see if this works. Okay, so far so good. This is an experiment where they have 2 monkeys. These are capuchin monkeys, and each monkey is in a different cage, and they teach the monkeys how to use small coins. And when they give these stone coins to the researcher, they get paid in cucumber. And these monkeys, they love cucumber. But then suddenly, in a given moment of the experiment, they start giving this monkey here, they start giving him grapes. And the thing is, these monkeys, they like cucumber, but they love grapes. So let's see what happens. Let's see if it works.
Getting grape, and you will see what happens.
Oh, nice.
So she gives a rock to us, that's the task. And we give her a piece of cucumber, and she eats it. The other one needs to give a rock to us. And that's what she does. And she gets a grape. And she eats it. The other one sees that. She gives a rock to us now, gets again cucumber. She tests a rock now against the wall. She needs to give it to us. And she gets cucumber again.
Okay, interesting enough. It's amazing. It never ceases to make me laugh. And that's something I love about this video is that usually when I put this video, everyone in the audience laughs, except for a few ladies that go like, oh. We guys, we are like, ah. But there's always a few ladies that are compassionate enough to feel the suffering of this poor monkey. And another interesting thing about this, there's several interesting things about this video. One is we are all primates. I mean, the idea of unfair behavior, it's like so hardwired in our brains, and it has nothing to do with reasoning and facts and science. The other thing, and it was brought to my attention very recently, is that the monkey doesn't get angry with the other monkey. He gets angry with the manager, with the experimenter. It's like, why are you doing that? You understand that the other monkey is happy because he's receiving grapes. But you're not angry with the other monkey. You are angry with the manager. And usually when companies say, oh, if people find out that they have different salaries, then they will get angry. So the solution is do not talk about salaries. Let's build a huge wall between the two monkeys so this monkey doesn't see that the other monkey is getting grapes. But of course, that's not the solution. The problem is not that we are seeing that the other person is being paid more than you. The problem is that the whole paying system is unfair. That's why in Jürgen's book, in Workout, he presents this idea of salary formula, having transparent salaries and making everyone understand why this person earns more and what do you need to do in order to earn more? Because it's legit that people say, I want to earn more money. And I think that we should be addressing this need of people. Okay, you want to earn more money, this is what you need to do in order to get grapes, okay? So we are emotional beasts. Even, there's an emotional part of this video also, which is that you are giving coins to the examiner, to the manager, to the researcher, and you're getting cucumber, and you are fine. And on the second part of the exercise, you keep giving stones to the examiner, you keep receiving cucumber, but you are not fine anymore. And you are like, nothing had changed. It's like you are earning the same money that you were earning last month, but now you know that there's other people that are paid more. And you were happy last month with your salary. Same salary, you're not happy anymore. It makes no sense. It's the same salary. But there's the emotional component that we have to address this emotional component if we want to really convince people and make change. But change happens. Change happens every single day. We see companies changing. We see people adopting new technologies. We see kids playing with new toys. We ourselves have changed a lot. A lot of people say, no, people never change. It's not possible to change people. But I want to prove you that this is possible. Let's try an exercise, because it's after lunch, and I think it's good if we have some interaction. I will give you 4 minutes, okay? And in these 4 minutes, please form a pair with another person you don't know from the room, and try to exchange 4 minutes of conversation about something you've changed in your life. Like when you changed your diet, or when you started running, or when you moved to another country, or when you started practicing some sports. It can be anything. It can be a change of career. It can be a personal change. It can be a change of religion. I don't know. Usually, don't speak with strangers about religion and politics, okay? Usually bad topic. But you can think about something you've changed in the last few years, and try to go through these topics, like how did it started? How did you manage to bring the change to a happy end? And what did you learn in the process? And is there something on that process that you can use in order to make other people change? Okay, so I will give you 4 minutes. And when the 4 minutes passes, I will raise both my hands. And I want everyone in the room to raise their hands to signal that the 4 minutes have passed. Okay? Go, find someone. Talk about how you've changed in the past. 26. That was brilliant. A good example of managed self-organization. Okay, that was brilliant. So I hope I give you some ideas on, by looking at yourselves and by looking how you've changed and talking to other people about how they have changed, maybe you can connect with some ideas on how you can use that in order to influence change in others. Anyway, to do my part, I will also tell you that the good news is that for the last several years, several decades, there's been people analyzing the dynamics of change in human systems, in social systems. And there's people that have been studying the change in big systems like countries or cities, and there's people that have been focusing on the change on medium-sized organizations, big-sized organizations, and most of this experience, or a lot of this experience, have been codified in several books. Here you have some of my personal favorites. Like, for instance, Switch is a very good novel, and it's very easy to read. Fearless Change is an amazing book by Marianne Ling and Linda Rising. It's difficult to read because it's written on pattern language. There's a reason for that. You have the Jürgen's book, How to Change the World. I think it's still available in PDF, probably. I think it's out of print, right? Out of print? I'm sorry? Print on demand. Okay, you can still get it, and it's a very good example because it has several models into one mojito method model. You have several models together explaining how to use those models to influence change in your environment. And of course, you have other books like Geoffrey Amour talking about crossing the chasm, John P. Cotter. And these models, they have also been brought to very specific tools or specific frameworks that you can use in order to understand change in your company. I'm personally very attracted to the ADKAR framework, to the Rogers curve of diffusion of innovation, to the 8 factors of change from John Cotter, and I use them every single day in my consulting practice when I'm helping companies adopt new methods and frameworks and trying to change people's minds. So let me distill that into 10 small but fast and useful, I hope so, advice that I can give you in order to bring change to your organization. Maybe making your boss more agile, or maybe convincing your colleagues to adopt this new technology or this new way of working. It doesn't matter. It's all about changing other people's minds or influencing changes and improvements in a human organization. So let's go with these 10 advices or 10 ways. Number 1, before you actually try to change anything, try to understand the other part. Because many times the problem with agile transformations is that we rush. Now, day 1, we are like, oh, we decided to go agile, so now we're going to be having like product owners and scrum masters and sprints and backlogs, and we're going to have retrospectives and dailies and Kanban boards and user stories, and everyone is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And also you are overwhelming people with a lot of stuff, and you actually don't understand what's happening around. I mean, why is the reason that you need agile in your company? The first thing you need is to understand the other person, because not everyone is going to be convinced in the same way. Something we are using, for instance, in some companies, we are using the design thinking process to design the transformation. We are looking at the transformation, at this attempt to change the culture of the company as if it was a product. You see people launching products into the markets every day, and you see people being very successful in launching those products, and I don't see people saying, oh, I want to launch this product into the market, but people don't want to buy it. Of course, people don't want to buy it. They don't know about it. So what's the first thing you have to do? Focus on your project or your product, or focus on your client. Try to build some user personas. Like, try to profile who's the people you're trying to address with the change. Build a user persona of the manager. Who's this person? Try to empathize with this person. Use empathy maps, for instance. Or make a user journey, like what are the different stages that a prototypical profile manager will go through in order to become an agile manager. Maybe you can work on that. Sometimes we try creativity techniques like thinking reverse. What can we do in order to make managers hate the agile transformation? Oh, we can do this and tell them that they are not allowed to talk to people anymore. They will hate that. And then we are like, okay, so that's a problem. We try to solve that. Let's make them sure that they will be always allowed to talk to people and they will have enough interaction with the people. So there's a lot of stuff you can do on your own to understand managers and to plan your strategy for changing their minds in advance. Then you have the champ frogs, which is the moving motivators. by Jürgen Appelot. You can think about what's the one thing we can excite as an intrinsic motivator for our managers. It's status, it's power, it's curiosity, it's learning, it's relatedness. What's the one thing he cares the most about? We can use that in order to convince him. Then number 2, find the early adopters. Maybe you don't have to convince your manager. Maybe your manager is a laggard. He's emotionally against the transformation. He will never be convinced unless everyone else is convinced. Maybe you can start with someone else. Try to find those few people in your company, maybe your colleagues or other managers, that might be in favor of the transformation. It might be that your manager is not the first person you should be talking to. Also, find these early adopters, but also try to understand who are the skeptics. Skeptics are the people that will say no, but they will have reasons for saying no, and they will share those reasons with you. And that's your impediment backlog. Those are the things you have to solve in order to make change happen. And with laggards, there's always someone that is absolutely against the transformation and will never be convinced. My advice would be compassionate to that person. Usually, someone that is emotionally against something is because they are scared, they have fear, they do not understand it, they are suffering probably. So be compassionate, but also don't engage into debate with these persons. Because as Mark Twain said, never discuss with an idiot. You will be lowered to his level, he will win you because of his experience. Okay? So, now, it's better to ignore them, at least at the beginning, and then later on we can try things in order to bring the laggards on board. Number 3, learn the language of Mordor. Learn the business language. Many times the problem we are experiencing is that the people that listen and hear about Agile are the developers, and then they go to the managers and they are, oh, this Agile thing is amazing. It is about refactoring legacy databases and automating testing and having continuous integration and continuous development, while we self-organize and the neurons of the managers, they are trying to escape through their ears. They are like, why are you telling me all this technical mumbo-jumbo I don't care about? So try to understand what are the terms that managers will pay attention to, like, for instance, time to market. If we want to talk about agility to managers, you better talk about time to market, that test automation. I'm not saying that test automation is not super important. I'm saying that it's very difficult that you're going to convince the marketing manager with an argument around test automation. Maybe you have to talk about return of investment. Maybe you have to talk about customer satisfaction. And these are things that will excite the neurons of the managers. Also, watch for what I call dangerous terms. If you start talking about Agile and you're like, oh, Agile is about no documents and no estimates, everyone is going to say, whoa, whoa, whoa. Then we don't want any of those Agile things around here. I need my documents. I need my estimates. Okay, and I was part of the no estimates thing before it became like the Disneyland of trolls. But if you start talking about how Agile is going to be about no deadlines and no estimates, and then people won't be convinced because they will react with fear. And if you don't have the opportunity to explain what's the approach, if you say, no, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, of course, we all understand that. We are in an Agile conference. But most of the people will understand there will be no contracts. And then they will be scared about this Agile thing. So be careful with the terms. The words have power. So be careful with the words you are using when you are advocating for a transformation. Number 4. Oh, by the way, SAFe. Boo! SAFe. No, SAFe is not Agile. Well, SAFe has been very successful introducing itself into big corporate because they learned how to talk the big corporate language. They started talking about budget allocation and business owners and business epics. And they started talking about value stream engineers and system architects and solution managers. And companies like those terms. They are like, oh, there's going to be a solution manager. There's going to be one person that I can chop its head off if everything fails. I like that. So SAFe, whether you like it or not, has been very successful in using the Mordor language. And that's one of the reasons that I think SAFe has been successful. Anyway, number 4, raise awareness. Find the cracks, sell the problem, not the solution. Don't say we need Scrum Masters, because why do we need Scrum Masters? Say people are not motivated, we have a lot of impediments, we never pay attention to the long term, we are not learning, there's no experimentation, we are not incorporating new technologies because we are always doing stuff, doing fires, and we don't pay attention to continuous improvement. And when people agree with you, and say, what can we do? Then you can say, oh, maybe we can introduce Scrum Masters and see how it goes. But don't sell the Scrum Master, that's a hard sell. Sell the problem, that's easier. Don't sell the product owner. Oh, we need product owners. What do you mean we need product owners? Instead of that, say we are working on 7 things at the same time. We are writing a lot of requirements only to find out that when we ship those requirements to the development team, they don't understand them, and then they build something that is wrong. Or we have products, we have development teams shipping products to the market, more product, and all these products are unsuccessful, nobody's using them. So we are shipping twice the crap, twice as fast. What's agility about this? And you're like, oh my God, you're right. What can we do? Or maybe if we do introduce the idea of a product owner, somebody that looks after priorities and understanding and having some feedback from the customer, sell the problem, not the solution. Also, find the cracks. There was a beautiful song by, I can't remember his name right now, but it said something like, there's always a crack in the wall. That's how, Leonard Cohen, there's always a crack in the wall. That's how light gets in. So instead of trying, for instance, if you have good software quality, don't start talking about the Agile, saying this is good for software quality, because nobody cares about that. In the long run, it might be important, but if right now the problem is deadlines, try to explain agility in terms of we will be meeting our deadlines easier, because that's the one thing the company cares about right now. So before you actually start talking to manager, try to find what's the thing they care about. Is it about budget allocation? Is it about how we are running over budget? Then try to make your case on how financing an agile team is going to make your budget much more predictable than financing projects. Number 5, think process, not event. Everyone thinks that the change is something that happens overnight, no? One day you open your eyes, you put the news, and suddenly they say, hey, in South Africa, they gave voting rights to all the population. And you're like, wow, South Africa changed overnight. And you have Nelson Mandela, who had been in prison for 40 years, saying, overnight my ass. I've been shouting and screaming and yelling for 40 years in jail. And now you notice a change, but there's been a lot of things being done during 40 years in a row until we can call a successful transformation. So don't think that, the agile transformation is something that's going to happen on a Monday morning, okay? Think of it as, let's reach a first state, even if it's a compromise. Some people want the whole agile stack on day one. They want like cross-functional teams and test automation and continuous versioning system and continuous integration and continuous delivery and collective code ownership and retrospect, and all that's not going to happen on day one. So again, SAFe, again, boo! Another reason that SAFe, I think it's been a successful model for many big corporations is that it's because it gives you a first stage of agility that a lot of people that has been into Agile for a long time, they see it and they say, that's not Agile. And what they mean is that's not Agile enough, and that's not as Agile as it gets. Because Agile is not a binary state where you are either Agile or not Agile. You can get more Agile over time. So another thing that SAFe, I think they're doing right, is that they present you with something that might be achievable for a big corporation in a small amount of time, and then what we try to make people understand is this is not an end state, it's a beginning state, and from there on, you can go on removing layers and procedures and process and roles and all that. But it's a good way of starting that feels familiar for most businesses. So, number 6, make it easy. For me, the most important thing that you can make in order to make a transformation successful is to create a vision. Like if you say, let's be agile, it's the same thing that if you say, let's eat healthy. For most people will say, okay, I get the idea of eating healthy, but what do you mean healthy? Beer is made of vegetables. Is that healthy or not? Chocolate is a vegetable also. Does chocolate count as a salad? So a lot of people will have a lot of doubts if you say, let's be agile, because what's agile? Doing Scrum is agile? Not necessarily. There's a lot of people doing Scrum and they are not agile. And there's a lot of people that are not doing Scrum and they are very, very agile. So here, for instance, I think that Alistair's approach of bringing the core of Agile or the heart of Agile and bringing Agile to 4 dimensions, if we are able to deliver value early in the process and frequently over the whole process, constantly. It's not like a big one thing at the end of a project. We are able to deliver value over the whole project. If we are able to collaborate as a high-performing team, if we are able to adapt to customer needs and learn from what we see in the customer reactions, and if we are able to improve the whole process, 4 things, that's agility. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. When I start my gigs with big corporations, I start by explaining this. Agility is this. It's not Scrum Masters, Product Owner, daily meetings. I've been at places where they try to measure agility in terms of how many practices are you implementing. Do you have Scrum Masters? Yes, check. Product Owners? Check. Poses on the wall? Check. Are you standing up during the meetings? Yes, check. So you are very agile. And then you look at time to market, 6 months, and you're like, what do you mean? Product success, 0. Nobody's using our products. Customer collaboration, who's the customer? We've never seen a customer. Customers are like unicorns. They are like Santa Claus. Customers is something that the project managers have made up so they can ask for budget and put deadlines. There are no customers. I've been working at this company for 40 years. I've never seen a customer. So then you're like, yeah, you might have all the product owner stuff and posters on the wall, but I don't see a lot of agility around here. So try to measure your agility and define your agility against a simple vision. I'm gonna skip the next example of safe. Triple boo. Number 7, sell quick wins. I mean, you don't need permission for a lot of things that means working on a more agile way. You shouldn't need permission to talk to people, to open conversations. That's something you can do without manager's permission. And if you work in a place where you cannot have conversations because you're not allowed to by managers, I would say quit. I mean, but if you can have conversations, if you can say, hey, let's have a 15 minutes daily meeting and let's try to synchronize ourselves and know what we are doing and try to figure out if somebody needs help. And let's try to show the status of the project as frequently as possible. It's very difficult that somebody is going to forbid you to do so. And by showing frequently the updates on the project, and by having frequent integration and frequent communication between team members, and by addressing the problems they have and making them collaborate and asking who needs help, by doing retrospectives every 2 weeks or so, you can spare some time to figure out some problems and bring solutions to those problems. Then you can start showing quick wins like, hey, we have better visibility. Hey, team is more motivated, they're more happy because now they get to talk to each other and propose solutions and they feel responsible for the process. And even if you haven't talked to your managers about agility, you can say, hey, we tried a couple of things that are related to this agility stuff and they seem to be very nice. Let me show you. Maybe we should go for something else. So showing some advance is also a way of making it less scary, less fearful. Number 8 of 10, and I have like 4 minutes left, look elsewhere. Sometimes your company is so concerned about the way they are doing things and they've been doing things the same way for 40 years. Maybe it's time you send your manager to a conference. Maybe it's time that you send them in an Agile Safari to visit other companies that are doing Agile, that are more agile than we are. And maybe they get ideas from these companies and maybe they can take pictures and things like the kind of things you do in a Safari. Maybe not shooting Agile developers, that wouldn't be very nice, but shooting pictures. Photographic safari. Good on your side. That's one of the change patterns that Marianne Lin and Linda Rising identified in their book, Fearless Change. And the idea, it's similar to when you're discussing with your wife and your wife asks for your opinion. If your wife asks for your opinion, basically what they want is to hear their opinion in a lower voice. Okay. So basically, you know what they want. In this case, this is something similar because you've been saying, hey, let's be more agile, let's be more agile, let's be more agile. Nobody listens to you. And then suddenly one day, for instance, you hire Jürgen, or you hire me, or you hire someone that is perceived by the industry as an expert or something because he has experience. And then he comes on stage and he say, oh, I have this crazy idea. How about you be a little bit more agile? And everyone is like, wow, that was mind-blowing. Let's do it. And you're like, really? I've been saying this for 5 years. Nobody listened to me. Nobody is a prophet on their own country. You have to travel along. For me, I'm from Spain. Doing consultancy in Spain is difficult. When I cross the Atlantic and I'm doing consultancy in Latin America, I'm God. Everything I say is the law because I come from so far. Okay, I'm sorry, it's emotional. It makes no sense. Use it. Use it on your own behalf, on your own profit. Don't try to explain it. Use it. Then you can use also client testimonials. Maybe your clients are using agility, and maybe you can make your manager talk to the clients, and if your manager finds that the clients are agile, then suddenly they have a motivation for agility. And the same with your suppliers. Maybe your suppliers are the ones that are doing agility. BBVA, one of the biggest banks in Spain and also a multinational bank, their transformation started because the people that were providing the infrastructure, they were doing Kanban. And some people in the company saw the Kanban boards and they were like, oh, that's nice. How's that called? Posters on the wall? We want that. And it started there. It was a very, very small thing, but it put things into motion, okay? Or maybe you can say any outsourcing opportunity when you are going to outsource some development to a team, try to hire a company that's doing Agile so you can have like a test bed where you can show your company, hey, look at what these guys are doing. So that's another way that you can push agility into your company, even though managers are still not convinced. Number 9, and we are finishing, piggybacking. Try to use something that is already working and attach agility to that something. In Bancolombia, which is the biggest Colombian bank, that was one of my clients, and there was a huge cultural transformation going on, which was about doing the bank more humane. And I was like, you know what's super, super humane? Agility. And then suddenly agility was part of the cultural change. And then there was the budget and all that. Try to find, sometimes it's the learning budget, the one thing that allows us to start doing agility. Because you are not allowed to touch the process, and there's no money for a transformation, and there's no goal of doing a transformation of the company. But if there's some learning budget, you can start sending people to training courses, and then they bring some ideas that they will want to try. And then number 10, and I'm finishing, get help. Don't do it all on your own. Sometimes you are trying so hard, and it's very, very easy that you are going to end up absolutely exhausted, and if you don't see any kind of advance, and you feel like you are the only crazy person in the company that believes in this agile thing, then you're not going to have enough energy. Try to create a transformation team. Try to create a guild, a coalition of people that will guide the transformation and that will push and evangelize and try to convince. Create communities of practice. Try to bring people together to talk about agility. And even if you are not doing Agile or implementing Agile methods, having enough people talking about agility in your company, that's very powerful. Sooner or later, that's going to create an effect. And if everything else fails, you can use the Jedi mind trick. These are not the processes you're looking for. It's not going to work, but you are going to look super cool. Okay? Or you can use the serenity prayer. Lord, grant me the serenity to accept things I can't change, the courage to change the ones I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I try to remind that myself many times because I get frustrated because something is not changing. But I have to remind myself that there's other things I can change, and maybe I can choose my battles. So, last words. This is my attempt to draw Morihei Ueshiba, the creator of Aikido, a martial art that I have been practicing for a long time. And Morihei Ueshiba, when he was 80-something, close to his death, he used to say, life is about growth. Life is about improvement, about learning. If you don't grow, both spiritually and technically, it's the same as if you were dead. So if your company is not growing, if your company is not changing, improving, I feel like it's like death in life. I think that our goal in life is, one of our goals in life and one of the goals of the companies is to grow, learn, and improve. And then here you have Lao Tzu. As you see, Lao Tzu looks amazingly like Morihei Ueshiba. Definitely different guys. This is the Aikido guy, and this is the Tao Te Ching guy. But you know, these Chinese Asian guys, when they become like enlightened, they all look like the same. Long beards, and they're bald. Lao Tzu, he used to say, the leader is best when his presence is not noticed. When the work is done and the challenge is won, people will say, we did it ourselves. And what I'm trying to tell you with this is don't be the one person responsible for the agile transformation in your company. Don't be the one person responsible for convincing the managers. Instead of that, try to awake the giant. At the end of People, where Tom DeMarco and Timothy Lister, they told the story of Holger Dansk, the giant of Denmark. And this legend says that if at any time Denmark is under danger, Holger Dansk, the giant, will rise and will defend Denmark. And what I'm trying to say is your job is not to defend Denmark, your job is to awake the giant. And the giant in your organization is the common force of every single person that forms that organization. If everyone in your organization agree this is the one thing to do, not even the CEO can prevent it from happening. So, thank you so much for having me here. I hope I gave you some ideas. Go and awake the giant. And remember the kitten.
Thank you.